and Bryce Shadday. When I thought of this particular guest for this pod, I really thought to myself, we're missing a king of royalty. We're missing royalty in our pod. We've had a lot of guests, but we've been needing royalty. And I just looked through these teams and I just thought to myself, dang, there's some big markets in here, but they're some of them are, most of them are fairly small. And I mean, Bryce, you know what that means. A king and small. I have to bring in the small market king, Devin Voss. I have no choice. Devin, it's a privilege to have you back on the LynnSanity, my friend. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, man. I'm very excited to dive into this NFL stuff, man. It's been a long time since we've seen real NFL football.
Yeah, we got to get you off that college stuff back into the big boy leagues.
Well, and look, I mean, I'm very, as a podcast, I know we're all excited for Devin's transition. He's going to be doing some reporting in Martinsville, focusing on some high school football. So check that out. And if you're watching on video, you're probably thinking that he's a real life Jimmy Neutron. So check that out. So he's killing the game right now. There's no other way to look at it. Now the thing that we got to talk about tonight, we're talking about the AFC North. We're talking about the NFC North. And, Bryce, when I thought of this segment, I texted you. I was like, hey, we got to do the Ravens because the J.K. Dobbins injury just happened over the week. This is a guy, an elite running back, a guy that many had high expectations for. He will not be there this season. That is meaning guys like Gus Edwards and, Justice Hill, players like that have to come in and step up. If you're, looking at this Dobbins injury, Bryce, how much do you think that this really affects their team? Does it, maybe push them out of elite contention for you? Do you think that they can still be a playoff team? Where do you see the Ravens now?
I really don't think this changes much of their team. I mean, Gus the Bus Edwards is locked in and ready to go. I mean, he has been a good running back when he touches the ball. I mean, he's good after contact. He gets yardage every play. And they still have depth at the running back position. It sounds like Tyson Williams is actually going to take the RB2 spot. Justice Hill will be RB3. So I still think they have three good running backs that they can use in tandem with one another. Obviously Dobbins is a big loss. I mean, he is an up and coming star in this league and he's been set back, but I really don't think this affects them. I think it's business as usual for the Baltimore Ravens. They've invested in their offensive line. So I don't know if it really matters who's back there. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. And Devin, there's been a lot of talk of obviously Gus Edwards and what he could be. But the Tyson Williams thing has had a lot of smoke. And, Devin, I know you're the college guy here. He comes in, basically he was on the practice. He spent all but one game on the practice squad. He's from BYU. What should we know about him? I mean, is he somebody that we should really, have our eyes on here in this situation? Do you think that he can really help counter Gus Edwards in the running game? Gus has been around the league for a while, but obviously a guy, they're going to have some different faces back there. It doesn't seem like Gus is going to be the main guy.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of expect that with any Baltimore Raven offense. They've been running through running backs for I don't even know how many years so far. And really, that's the one thing they've lacked is a consistent one. They had Mark Ingram, of course, for 1 year. So seeing the rotational back system come back just because they lost J.K. Dobbins is kind of a blow in my opinion. I think it's gonna they'll be just fine. Don't get me wrong. They've been able to survive like this thus far, but it is a blow. And as far as Tyson Williams is concerned, he is a pretty solid back. He's obviously played ball both in the SEC and at BYU. He'll definitely be able to produce. I'm not totally sure what his impact will be on this team. I think is kind of a question mark. But I guess we will see here pretty dang shortly.
Yeah, I mean, they are, they've always been big on Gus, and they showed it in the offseason with that extension. But this is a team that runs the ball. They're a run-heavy team. It feels like every receiver on their team freaking gets injured or they can't develop it. So it's just one of those things where, Baltimore is really going to rely on the running game, and it'll be fun to see who kind of makes out of this and who doesn't.
Blaming the receivers.
Blaming the
Okay.
receivers.
Okay.
How are you gonna? All right, well, let's
Okay.
go. Let's go there.
Okay.
Then. Let's go
Okay.
there. Let's flip it up on you, Bryce. What do you got
Okay.
to say?
Yeah. You know what I'm going to say, Caleb. I don't
What?
think it's all the wide receivers' fault. I think there's a little bit of Lamar Jackson that still can't throw. That's just the fact of the matter. I think he's got very talented receivers, and they've added him some weapons. They go out, they draft Rashad Bateman. Okay. They signed Sammy Watkins. They still have Hollywood Brown. Lamar Jackson has no excuse after this season if his throwing numbers don't improve. Period. That's where I'm going with that, Caleb.
And I think it's foolish. I mean,
Okay,
the fact of
that's
the
fine.
matter
fine.
is Lamar
That's fine.
Jackson's a top 10 quarterback in this
Okay.
league, and you're acting like he's a
Sure.
freaking
Sure.
schmuck.
Because he throws or because he runs. That's why he's top 10 quarterback.
that's
because he's a
unbelievable.
gifted runner.
That's unbelievable.
Okay.
Devin,
Okay.
let's get your
Okay.
thoughts on this. What is reason? What are you initially thinking of Lamar this season? Are you ridiculously low on Lamar Jackson as Bryce Shadday is, or are you on a certain aspect of where it's like, hey, Lamar, is talented enough to get them through, because I mean Bateman's injury I think is going to affect this team, and the depth at wide receiver still seems to be a question.
Yeah, but he does have the talent now, and I totally disagree with Bryce. His dismissal and his
Sure.
full dismissal of Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
I think when Bateman comes back, whenever that is, I think this offense is going to be a whole new level. I think, he's got the guys. So I think this is going to be a more dynamic Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson on his way to a terrific season.
Sure.
I 100% agree. We're talking about the best quarterback in this division. We're talking about a guy who is without a doubt if you're going to pick 10 guys in the league, you're like, hey, I need to start a franchise with, the fact of the matter is he's going to be one of your 10 guys. He's young enough. He's good enough. He's got a chance to lead yourself in a good position as a franchise. And, he has an ability to just change the game with this ability to run the ball. He's an MVP candidate. He's an MVP candidate. He's won an MVP. He's just only going to get better. This offensive line, I thought, despite the loss of Orlando Brown this season because they didn't want to pay him, I still think is a really good line. It didn't seem like they dropped off a huge amount. Obviously the Brown thing was a question, but I really like what they're doing. And I think Lamar's going to have a very good season because of it. To be honest, I think it's going to come down to the OC. The OC, in my opinion, it's a joke that he's still there.
So we're blaming everyone except Lamar. Okay.
Well, okay. Bryce, you're adorable because you're bashing an MVP.
Okay.
You're adorable because you're
blame
bashing
everyone
MVP.
Except Lamar Jackson. Go right ahead.
You're adorable because you're bashing an MVP.
Okay. Is it adorable that running a running quarterback in the playoffs can't get him to a Super Bowl right off the bat? I think not. But anyways,
no, because a lot of quarterbacks can't get to the Super Bowl right away.
Sure.
A lot.
Okay.
A lot can't.
Okay.
And Josh Allen shut you up, and Lamar Jackson's going to shut you up. Too. He's going.
All right,
you're going to be in your blankie
all
right now.
How about you go make some throws? Go make some throws, and we'll see what happens.
All I'm going to tell you is he had a heck of a. I mean, you think 2,757 yards, 3,127 yards on the throw. You don't think that's very good, Bryce?
It's good. It's still not where he should be for an MVP.
No, you're just overcritical. Okay. Now the other factor to this is, and Devin, it's like even with the Dobbins injury, before the Dobbins injury, people were like, hey, this is a team offensively and defensively that is the top of the AFC. They're right there in terms of contending for the Super Bowl. They could be in that group with the heavy defense, legitimate coach. Do you believe that this is a team that can get there? And with the way that they're constructed, how do you feel that the Ravens are in terms of getting to that next step? I think the Super Bowl is the next step for this group here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're just as close as they've ever been. That MVP season from Lamar Jackson, obviously that was kind of a blow to go out the way they did, but I think now you got a Lamar Jackson that is obviously experienced. He's got the talents, and you got the defense, which is, yeah, I mean, it is probably going to be another top 10 season, but bearing injury. Got one of the best backfields in the league. Some of the best D linemen in the league. Like, this team is it's just good all around, and
good.
their expectation should be Super Bowl.
100%.
Not saying that's where they're going to get, but I'm just saying they're definitely within that group.
Yeah, I totally agree. And while Bryce Shadday just continues to ignore Lamar Jackson, let's see if he ignores the roster. Bryce, what do you think of this team as an AFC contender in your opinion? And where do they rank in terms of legitimate threat to the for a potential Super Bowl spot here?
I think they're top 5 in the AFC. I think they have a really good defense. And in fact, they lost some pretty key pieces when you think about it. They lost Matt Judon to the Patriots. Ngakoue, he left in free agency. He went to the Raiders. And then you lose a guy like Jihad Ward in the interior. But they've reloaded this entire defense. You still have Derek Wolfe, Brandon Williams, and Calais Campbell as your front 3. Your linebackers are outstanding. Bowser, Harrison, Queen, McPhee, which I believe they re-signed. Yeah, they re-signed Bowser and McPhee. They re-signed a lot of guys on the defensive end, right? So they really like where their defense is. And then you got, guys like Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey back there shutting down corners left and right. So this defense is still going to be one of the best in the league, bar none, just like they have been for several years in a row. So, I mean, this defense is outstanding. It'll cover up for some of the shortcomings of the offense if they're unable to move the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and I think with the way that this defense looks, Devin, right? You got legit interior defensive linemen, as Bryce mentioned. You go out, you make just good depth moves, right? I know that, you liked, I believe when we talked about their draft, it was a team that came up in the sense of going out and they took a shot at a pass rusher, trying to get that up and going. They went out and have developed Deshaun Elliott into a really nice safety along with Chuck Clark. This is a very deep corners. I mean, you're looking at Tavon Young and Jimmy Smith, as backups.
Well, they had to trade Sean Wade, who they just drafted because they had so much depth.
It was incredible. They're very good. Patrick Queen in his second season, I think, has a chance to be a Pro Bowler. I mean, the Ravens are a legitimate threat on defense. I think they're a top 5 unit this year, as far as I'm concerned. I think top 10 is putting it, it's kind of being absurd and disrespectful. How do you think that the defense, in terms of big picture, how do you think that this team can build off of it? Because I feel like this is the bread and butter of Baltimore. They always love to have that great defense, and the offense is just going to be bruising. Is there enough depth to you where you just think to yourself, okay, this defense is going to be the real deal, and it's going to get it done, even with the injuries to Dobbins, even with the situations to Bateman and et cetera?
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen it time and time again, year after year. Usually the best team in the NFL is aided by the best defense, minus the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's just because of one man. It's fun to see defense play the way they are, the way they do. And especially with the Ravens, it's not like it's just a bunch of old guys. Yes, there's old guys on the roster that are still, being very productive, but they're also funneling in a whole bunch of new great defensive players. I mean, they got not that he was on top of anybody's draft boards, but they got Dalen Hayes in the 5th round. Like, to me, that's such a steal. Yeah. At least within their defense, that could turn out to be a great 5th round pick, at least in value terms. So the Ravens will be fine on defense, and I think if anything, their defense will be able to push them forward to the playoffs. That's now, Bryce, ultimate catastrophic failure.
Yeah, and it's the thing for me with this team, and something to note is obviously, LJ Fort has been a legitimate starter for this team. Now he's on the IR. Bryce, that's leaving an opportunity for you as an Ohio State fan
That's it,
to
baby.
to continue to push towards your bias on Ohio State players.
I don't know what you're talking about.
With Malik Harrison leading the charge as a potential replacement.
Mhm.
Do you see Malik Harrison kind of filling in that role? I mean, like a lot of people like the value at the time. Is he going to be somebody that this team can rely on? I mean, Fort's been a legitimate veteran for them. Patrick Queen is heck, it's his second year in the league. So what should fans expect from Fort's replacement? And Fort's been around, and Harrison's talented.
Yeah, I mean, Harrison's going to be awesome. Okay, one, he's Ohio State churns out good linebackers. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying like they're tip top of the line, but they put out good linebackers, and when you put them in a good scheme with good coaching, they're going to perform with you. And the Ravens have good coaching on the defensive side of the football, so I think he's going to be able to step in and do exactly what's asked of him. I mean, he's got Tyus Bowser, Patrick Queen, Pernell McPhee around him to help him and guide him. Like, even if he messes up, those guys can cover up for him. So yeah. I still think you're going to get production on Malik Harrison. It may even lead to a bigger contract elsewhere. Once LJ Fort comes back, they may not be able to retain him. So I think he's going to be just fine. He's going to be just fine. Just coach him up.
Yeah. And I think that the other exciting part to this team, right, is they definitely have their fair share of veterans, but man, there are some amazing young talents with Queen, Humphrey. I think they stole Peters. The way that I see it for the Ravens is when they're building up this core, you guys. I mean, like, this is a core that I think is going to be good together for a very long time. And it's something we don't talk about because they're in such a win now mode, given how good their team is, but they're going to be consistently good for a long, long time. And, Devin, a question I was thinking about today is, it's a lot of teams could have, really good pieces on a unit, right? Really good, players on an offense, really good players on a defense. But if you look at this defense, there are a lot of players I would consider elite at what they do. How do you see that in terms of when you're looking at these players and you're looking at these names? Is it just one of those things where you're like, wow, not only are they, good players, but they're elite? And can that affect what everybody's been so frustrated about with Baltimore, which is a lack of a passing game and a lack of, the ownership in front office pursuing offensive help?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call because that has been their kryptonite, is the passing game. And at least this offseason, they've at least done what they can to address those problems. There's certainly, I feel like, more that they could have done, but I mean, Rashad Bateman did fall right into their lap. Sammy Watkins is by far long past a number one option, but maybe Baltimore gives him something, more juice or something. But as far as the defense goes, yeah, I mean, there's definitely enough names there, at least to be able. I mean, Baltimore is just going to be good defensively just because of the fact that they consistently just pull all of the defensive talent. That's what they're good at. And I mean, when addressing the offense, it can be frustrating when you think about it. We have still yet to see a number one running back for Lamar Jackson, and we have still yet to see a number one wide receiver. But they have all of the defensive talent in the world. So yeah, I mean, it's contradicting to see this team. But I think with the way that it's structured now, I think that they're going to find they should find plenty of success.
And here's the other thing with the Ravens piss me off as an organization offensively. They have basically decided, hey, we have had this need for freaking years to go get a wide receiver. And I've been barking this for like 2 years that it's a joke that they haven't gone out and actually gone for a legitimate veteran receiver. They go out, they get Sammy Watkins. They think Sammy Watkins is going to do it for him. They still have Miles Boykin on the freaking roster. This is a team that just it is absurd to me that this team didn't look for a veteran wide receiver, Bryce. There's really no excuse for it. They should be looking for a star talent. They should be looking to pay him, and they should be looking to get this team up and going. I think Lamar with the star level wide receiver when it matters is a good quarterback and even greater quarterback. Mark Andrews is also another problem for me, and nobody's talking about it. Mark Andrews had a horrible season last year. He had a horrible season by Mark Andrews standards last year, and you need him to be the best passing option on your team. And the fact of the matter is, if he can't win in a one-on-one situation when it matters, who else is going to, Bryce? Who else is going to do that? And that is a joke and a half that this front office did jack crap to go out and fix and get a legitimate piece to go with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but again, I think Lamar's got to make a little more plays.
You're so foolish. He was an MVP 2 years ago.
I'm not. This is what great quarterbacks do. Am I wrong? Do you know who Patrick Mahomes is going to be thrown to other than Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce?
Well, unfortunately the Ravens do not have Tyreek
Mecole
Hill
Hardman.
or Travis Kelce.
Mecole Hardman. No, everyone wants to put Andrews as a top 5 tight end in the league. Is he or is he not? Okay, is he a top 5 tight end in the league?
God.
Is he a top 5 tight end in the league? Is he or
He's
is he not?
Travis Kelce.
Everyone
He's
speaks
not.
very highly of Mark Andrews. I'm just saying.
You
can blame the receivers all day, but sometimes
it's nice when you got a top 5 wide receiver.
Aaron Rodgers was playing with guys that came out of nowhere.
No, are you serious?
Randall
Devontae
Cobb.
Adams comes out of the middle of nowhere.
No,
That's what you got from me, you schmuck.
I'm talking
Look at that
about
silence. Look at that silence.
Randall Cobb. I mean, come on, dude. Jordy Nelson, where'd he come from? I mean, come on, man.
Are you saying that those guys aren't good without Rodgers?
No, they aren't good. No, look at Jordy Nelson after he left the Packers. Go look at it. Look at Randall Cobb without Aaron Rodgers. Go look at it.
This is absurd.
What do you see?
No,
He
what
makes
do I
Valdez
see?
Scantling. He makes Valdez Scantling actually look like a viable option out on the field, even though he wouldn't make a roster anywhere else.
But don't you think that it changes a little bit when you have the best wide receiver in the game and you can get some one-on-one coverage every once in a while and a top quarterback giving you the ball?
Sure, but Devontae Adams wasn't on that level for a long time.
This is ridiculous. I forgot how absurd you are on the Ravens. I just forgot. You're absurd.
Okay.
You are coming into this argument.
Okay.
You
What'd
hold
they do
Lamar
last
Jackson to a
season? What'd they
greater
do last
standard.
season?
You
What'd
hold
they
Lamar
do?
Jackson to a
What did
greater
they-
standard than anybody
Because he's
in
an MVP.
Oh, and then you're completely low on him when he's putting up a very solid year like he did last year. And I'm sorry that he didn't match
Solid,
a record-selling. I'm sorry he didn't match a record-setting year that he had for his MVP season.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay. Why can Aaron Rodgers come out time and time again and do it? Why can Patrick Mahomes come out time and time again and do it? I don't understand. I'm confused.
Well, it's off. Oh, Devin,
I'm
do you have anything to
confused.
say to this? This is ridiculous.
No comments.